Good morning and welcome to Korea Today live from Seoul.
Some describe the mix as oil and water. The three-way meeting among President Park Geun-hye and the ruling opposition parties ends without a major breakthrough, but a lot of finger-pointing.
Speculation is rising over whether former Daewoo Group chairman Kim Woo-jung will say a few words about his unpaid fines. More coming up in the headlines.
When it comes to housing prices, how low can you go? Our Business Daily has a projection coming up on In Print.
And what exactly causes sinkholes in Korea? Is it only a natural depression? I have more on that coming up.
And the doors to the Kaesong Industrial Complex are open with some 90 factories in operation. As the process of full normalization begins, we look at the changes and what to expect. iRobot. A world where robots assist humans is what roboticist Dennis Hong dreams of. We sit down with the world-renowned scientist to hear about his creations and motivations on Tuesday, September 17th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Thanks for joining us. You're watching Korea Today on a Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday, but it feels like a Friday because starting tomorrow, the Chuseok holiday begins, the 3-day holiday followed by the weekend. So it's going to be a nice long 5-day holiday for most people in Korea.
That's right. Don't you wish every week was like this 2-day working week?
That's right.
And following up on the historic event of the South Korean flag being raised and the national anthem being played at an international sporting event in Pyongyang. Yesterday, North Korea state media reported that their leader Kim Jong-un was present to watch the women's competition where a South Korean athlete won the bronze. Kim Jong-un reportedly applauded for the South Korean athlete and was also on hand to witness another raising of the South Korean flag, the Taegukgi.
That's right. His wife, Lee Seol-ju, was there as well, Lee Seol-ju. And I wonder what was going through their heads as they saw the South Korean flag go up, right?
You can only wonder. And for more on this and much more on our headlines, we now go over to Na Hyun-kyung.
It was a much-awaited three-way meeting, which many had hoped would break the political deadlock between ruling and opposition parties. But from the beginning, there were already signs that everyone was in for a rocky ride.
추석을 앞두고 국민들께 희망을 드릴 수 있는 그런 결과가 나오도록 잘 됐으면 합니다.
I'm hoping today's talks will reaffirm the Parliament's original duty and serve as a new starting point that can provide the people with hope and joy.
I firmly believe the President, as the leader of state affairs, should apologize for serious acts that violated democracy.
The meeting went on for another 30 minutes after the scheduled 1 hour. Many issues were discussed, including the controversy over the spy agency's reform, as well as Prosecutor General Choi Dong-uk's resignation. But coming out of the meeting, no one was happy.
We talked a lot, but not a single answer was right. It's hopeless to expect this country to rebuild democracy through talks with the President.
This was not a meeting to negotiate anything. It was an opportunity to frankly exchange opinions, so we didn't prepare any separate papers of agreement.
The talks not only failed to get the main opposition DP to abandon its weeks of street protesting, it also did not draw out any responses from the president sought by the opposition. Insiders now say it won't be easy to find another solution to loosen the political gridlock. Following former President Roh Tae-woo's full payment and Chun Doo-hwan's plans to pay up on his millions of dollars of fines, attention is now on former business mogul Kim Woo-jung. The former chief of the now dissolved Daewoo Group, who has been staying in Vietnam since his pardon in 2008, arrived in Seoul on Monday. His aides say he came back to spend the Chuseok holiday with his family, but speculation is that he may bring up the issue of his unpaid fines. Now, in 2006, Kim was sentenced to 10 years in prison with a fine mounting to a near 18 trillion won or $17 billion on charges of accounting fraud. He has paid less than 0.5% of those fines. In the 1990s, Daewoo Group was listed as one of the 3 top conglomerates in both assets and revenue in Korea before going bankrupt in 1999. A man was shot dead by the South Korean military in Gyeonggi province on Monday while reportedly trying to cross a river into North Korea. A senior official at the Joint Chiefs of Staff said several warning shots were fired and that he was told to return but was shot and killed after ignoring the warnings and jumping into the Imjin River. In his pocket was a passport which identified a 47-year-old male with the family name Nam, but officials say they still have to check whether the passport belongs to the man. Investigation is currently underway to determine the man's identity and his motive for the attempted border crossing. The Inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Complex reopened its doors to workers from both South and North Korea on Monday. Some 800 South Korean personnel crossed the border to check their facilities and get their machines back online. They say even after the 5-month closure, not much has changed.
Because the North Korean workers weren't able to work, they seemed a bit more enthusiastic. Apart from that, nothing really seemed to have changed. The mood especially is not that different from the past.
The two Koreas will continue talks on how to run the complex from here on. At a third Joint Management Committee meeting Monday, Seoul and Pyongyang agreed to hold a session for foreign companies at the end of next month, aimed at explaining potential investment opportunities.
Good morning, everyone. Yesterday's three-way talks between the leaders of Korea's rival political parties and President Park Geun-hye is treated as the top story by all of the newspapers today. Most of the headlines point to the fruitlessness of the meeting, 동아일보 calling it an empty-handed three-way meeting, and Gyeongyang Shinmun saying that the president was unable to be reached, setting into play a confrontational politics. Let's go ahead and take a look at the story on 조선일보, whose headline reads, a 90-minute meeting, and the valley gets deeper. Now, despite the pleasantries exchanged and hope for resolution expressed heading into the brunt of the meeting, there was no breakthrough in the end. The paper cites an unnamed Democratic Party member saying that the party will now use all resources, including the continuation of its parliamentary boycott, to convince the president of her faulty perception, while Saenuri Party leader Hwang Woo-yeol responded by saying, didn't the president accommodate most of the DP's demands aside from issuing a formal apology? So certainly two different point of views there. Now, DP leader Kim Han-gil, according to the paper, had on numerous occasions during the meeting called for the president, as the leader of the nation, to apologize for the so-called NIS scandal and the missing official transcripts of the 2007 Inter-Korean summit talks. But the president refused, saying there is no reason for an incumbent president to apologize for what happened under a past president's term. She added that if it is found that there was an irregularity committed by the nation's spy agency, then she would commit to make sure that such a thing never happens again, and also promised to pass a reform proposal to ensure the National Intelligence Service does not get involved in politics. And scooting right over to Gyeongyang Shinmun now, a less friendly shot of the two heading out of that meeting on Gyeongyang Shinmun. We'll take a look at another news item that came out of that meeting, though, in this side story. Headline reads, a tax increase possible with public support. First mention of raising taxes under incumbent president. The article reports that while the president reconfirmed her policy to lessen the financial load of the lower and middle middle class by collecting from the upper class. She said that a tax increase with public support is possible if present efforts to revise the annual expenditure and rein in tax-free items do not suffice. Kyungyang says that it's likely that the tax increases will appear in income and/or consumer taxes since the president refused to touch corporate taxes in fear of the impact on the economy as a whole. And scooting right over to Donga Ilbo. Now, on that note, this newspaper's side story warns in its headline that next year's total income to shrink by 5 trillion won, that's about 4.6 billion US dollars, while government spending is to grow by 13 trillion won, or $12 billion. Now, despite efforts by government officials to shave off the budget here and there, the paper says the tough economic climate will lead to less taxes being collected, the first in 4 years that corporations will pay less taxes than it had a year before. On the other hand, the newspaper says there are voices of concern that the government has budgeted for too much in expenditure and that official national budget for 2014 is due to be released on the 26th, which is next Thursday. We'll go ahead and scoot on over to our business newspaper for today. Korea Economic Daily's main headline reads, 7 out of 10 experts say housing prices as low as they will go. That is, we are at a trend right before the market exits the slump. Now, the Daily surveyed some 50 real estate experts for projections following the August 28th measure that the government had announced, and this is what they found. 36% said housing prices are close to the bottom with mixed trends. 32% said that we have hit the bottom. Combining those two gives you that roughly the 7 out of 10 figure noted in the headline. Meanwhile, 26% said that they are still watching the market, while 6% say that the prices could still drop. Now, compared to a survey done by this newspaper in June following the April 1st real estate measure, the number of optimists in this survey jumped by 3 times, according to Hangyang. And the top 2 reason given for this prices at near bottom conjecture, it says, is that transactions are picking up following related government measures at 42%, and expectations that the economy will recover are bright at 14%. With that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Tuesday. Next up are your closing numbers from Monday's market action.
All right, let's now get a check on the weather on this eve of the Chuseok holidays. I know a lot of people are leaving the capital to go to their homes outside of Seoul, right?
And I have a feeling that weather is going to cooperate. So we'll get the details with Lee Dami joining us. Good morning, Dami.
Good morning, Dami.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from Ansan, Gyeonggi Province, and it sure does look like a nice day to go out today because today we're starting off with bright, beautiful skies this morning, just like yesterday. As for the rest of the nation, it looks like we will be seeing similar conditions as most of the entire nation is under the influence of a high-pressure system coming in from the west. However, for the temperatures this morning, I must admit it is slightly chilly as it is 16 degrees Celsius. Later, our highs will leap up and be quite hot at 29 degrees. So as you can see, we still are seeing a big gap between our highs and lows. In these weather conditions, please try to stay healthy. Take care of your health because you can become more vulnerable to catching a cold. Now, as for the Chuseok holidays, as it is starting tomorrow for most of the people here in Korea, we'll start off with beautiful weather conditions, and over the weekend, we'll be seeing just a few clouds here and there. All right, let's now go ahead and take a look at the numbers around the nation. Daejeon will be similar to Seoul with highs rising to 29. Daegu will be quite hot at 30, Gangneung at 28. Busan and Gwangju at 30, while Jeju Island will be slightly cooler at 27 degrees. That's all I have for the weather forecast. I'll be back in a few moments.
So machines started rolling yesterday at the Kaesong Industrial Complex for the first time in 166 days. And so far, some 70% of the resident companies have resumed operations. And yesterday, some 740 South Koreans crossed the border to go to work, while some 32,000 North Koreans showed up for work.
And there have been some positive reviews along with a sense of uncertainty. And we're going to take a look at what has been done ahead of the reopening, as well as what we can expect in the future for the normalization of operations at Kaesong.
The Inter-Korean Kaesong Industrial Complex reopened Monday for the first time since North Korea unilaterally pulled the plug on operations back in April. It had been more than 5 months since production ground to a halt.
It's the first time I'm going back since April 3rd, when the complex was shut down. I guess things will get better.
The North Koreans seem to have changed a lot. They're friendlier than they used to be.
Anticipation was high ahead of the reopening, as great efforts were made to take progressive steps for the normalization.
Reopening the Kaesong complex is the starting point for the two Koreas to shift from confrontation to dialogue. In that sense, it is very significant.
So what changes will we see at the complex after reopening for the first time in 166 days? The two Koreas agreed on several points of close cooperation ahead of the normalization. First, unlike the unilateral management by the North in the past, the complex will be run jointly by a new consultative body. The two Koreas also agreed to create a joint commercial arbitration committee which can act as mediator in the case of conflicts. The two Koreas also agreed to introduce a digital entrance system, as well as easing regulations to make access to and from the North easier. In addition, the previous full customs inspections have been reduced to 50% selective screening. Also, use of internet and mobile phones is likely to become possible after further discussions with the North.
It's important that the two agreed to implement a regular access system using digital technology. It also means that North Korea will guarantee improvements in communications, passage and customs.
Most noticeable is the agreement to move towards globalizing the industrial complex by inviting foreign companies in.
Globalizing the complex will create an environment where it will not shut down and the international community can invest in the business park. This can lead to a stable development of the complex. Not only that, it can also be seen as an experiment for a future in which North Korea may open its doors to the rest of the world.
South and North Korea agreed in a subcommittee meeting for global competitiveness to hold an investment fair in the Kaesong complex and invite foreign companies and trade officials. Previously, President Park Geun-hye, while attending the G20 summit, also expressed her hopes in talks with her Italian counterpart that firms in Italy will consider taking part in the Kaesong project. This is a move to globalize the complex so that it has a competitive edge in fields outside of the current clothing and needlework areas, which depend exclusively on inter-Korean cooperation.
If it is globalized, it can show the rest of the world that the park can be managed in a stable manner despite the ongoing military standoff on the Korean peninsula.
However, issues such as personnel, taxes, wages, and insurance still need to be adjusted to meet global standards, according to the new agreement.
Institutions that meet global standards are important in globalizing the complex, but I think to actually achieve that goal, the issue of bringing all suppliers in and out of North Korea needs to be resolved to some degree.
With the reopening of the joint business park, the two Koreas have taken a step forward in inter-Korean relations, and hopes are high that this could lead to more progress in other fields, such as expanding family reunions, reopening talks for Mount Kumgang, and possibly a resumption of nuclear dialogue. This is why many people are keeping a close eye on what further developments will come out of the joint business park.
And still ahead, he was the first to build a humanoid robot in the U.S. and created a car for the blind to drive. Dennis Hong, a world-renowned roboticist, shares with us his dreams and hopes for future robotics technology and what keeps him going. That's later on Korea Today.
Incidents involving sinkholes are being reported worldwide almost on a weekly basis. Sinkholes of different sizes and depths are also being reported in Korea.
That's right. Yeah. And this is one example of a sinkhole, quite mind-blowing.
Very big, and
That's right.
it's hard to imagine what it's like to be just standing there.
That's right.
Just watching
Sinkholes
the
are
pictures.
usually formed by natural causes, but it can be man-made too. And joining us for this story is Kim Chan-ju. Good morning.
Good morning. Just last month in Yeouido, Central Seoul, a sinkhole suddenly appeared in the middle of the road, and this has nearly caused a car accident and also increased fears of sinkholes among many people. Recent cases of sinkholes in Korea turned out to be man-made as well, so I went out to check out the details. Buildings disappear and chunks of land cave in out of nowhere. These are known as sinkholes, which have been occurring all around the world. Korea is not an exception. Last year in Incheon, one person was injured due to a sudden sinkhole. The number of sinkholes in Seoul for the last 5 years mounted to 133 cases.
Sinkholes usually appear in limestone areas. The cavities that are created by underground water expand, and at some point it caves in from a combination of causes. If the surface of the ground collapses with it, we call it a sinkhole.
Not long ago, a taxi driving through the roads at night dodged a sinkhole, averting what could have resulted in critical damage. The occurrence was of greater concern since it took place in the middle of the city. This is where the recent sinkhole was found in Seoul. Thanks to repair work, the land has been filled in. The sinkhole swallowed part of the road in the middle of the city, which is mounting anxiety among many citizens.
I've had a flat tire on a rainy day before because of a caved-in area on the road, so it would be quite concerning if a sinkhole suddenly appeared.
In this village at Eumseong-gun, North Chungcheong Province, there is a spot that has become rather famous. It's none other than the sinkhole which appeared in May 2008. Once a nursing home for the physically disabled, a sinkhole appeared here back in 2008. Since then, the facility was forced to close down due to further risks from surrounding areas. The size of the hole was measured at 8 meters in 2008, but as the ground has become weaker over time, it's now even bigger at 29 meters. This is where there used to be a facility for the physically disabled, but after the sinkhole swallowed up the front yard, it has been shut down.
At the time, 28 people lived here, but despite the collapse in the middle of the yard, there were fortunately no injuries. We immediately reported it to the police and the fire station, and the residents have all moved elsewhere.
After conducting drilling investigations to find out the cause of the sinkhole, many empty spaces underground were uncovered, contrary to the surface. The area remains a danger zone and entry is restricted.
The sinkhole was 34 meters deep at the time, and it is getting deeper because it collapsed more since then. A road a few hundred meters away from here turned out to have an underground space of 10 meters deep. The road is now repaired with thick steel plates in fear that it will cave in more. There are dozens more of collapsed areas near the forest.
So what causes sinkholes? They can occur when limestones, which is slightly soluble, erodes and causes the ground to cave in. Excessive groundwater development and construction can also contribute to sinkhole activity. But there are a multitude of reasons why sinkholes form, and it is difficult to pinpoint the process. This is why it is still difficult to reveal the exact cause of these holes.
It is very hard to find where sinkholes occur, and only a few studies have been conducted so far. The government should start research and surveys in order to build an overall database. Using this database, construction projects should be conducted in areas less prone to the danger of sinkholes.
Okay, so sinkholes can occur naturally, and it could be made due to man-made faults in the foundation. What about in Korea? What kind of characteristics do sinkholes in Korea show?
Well, we do have to go back to the basics of how our land is formed. Korea's land is mostly formed with granite and metamorphic rock region, and groundwater ratio of groundwater uses is relatively low. Therefore, it is less risky for that sinkholes will occur. But however, in urban region, though, they can be caused by construction and eroded water and pipes. Water and sewage pipes. Yeah.
And apparently the number of these sinkhole-like cases in the country is also rising.
That's right. I think we are beginning to see more increasing number of man-made sinkholes because of all the developments and human activities. But because of the word sinkhole, it sounds more mysterious, and it gives the impression that it is caused by greater natural forces, and it's something that cannot be prevented. So that's why some experts are saying that man-made sinkholes on the road, for example, should be called land subsidence instead, so that people can be more proactive in improving conditions that could trigger occurrences of sinkholes.
Okay, so these sinkholes, is there a way to detect them and prevent them?
Well, according to experts, there are not many signs that we can detect, unfortunately, but slight signs like if you're in the garden and you see that your tree is tilted a little bit, or maybe the picture frame in your house is tilted, that could be early signs of sinkholes at your home. But I think so far land subsidence in the city has been due to aged water and sewage pipes that were constructed during the 1980s and 90s, and they are supposed to last up to 20 to 30 years. So these should be changed into new and solid ones, and also new technology to detect early signs should be needed in the future. I have to say that sinkholes are not widespread events like earthquakes or hurricanes. They're very localized, which is why there are not many comprehensive international or national database. So in order to further prevent future sinkholes or land subsidence, thorough investigation is necessary through something like geophysical survey and drilling. So these are some of the things that we need to do in the future.
So constant monitoring as well as observation of some of these risk areas is necessary.
Because the last thing you want is to be standing on that piece of land, right?
Exactly.
Thank you, Chanju, for that interesting story. All right, time now to go back to our Dami, who is joining us from the Daegu Sea Breeze theme park. I wonder what she's up to.
I am wondering the same thing, so we'll see what she's up to. We'll bring it over to Dami.
That's right, Minjung and Young. I'm back reporting live from the Daegu Sea Breeze theme park, which is located in Gyeonggi Province. Now, if you take a look at or take a glance at Daegu Island, it looks like just a vast piece of land. However, did you know that it's an island village that's connected by the Siwa embankment? So if we take a look around, it's a huge area. The Daegu Sea Breeze theme park has an area of 980,000 square meters. It's 4 times or the size of Yeouido itself. So it boasts of beautiful landscapes and resting areas. As a matter of fact, Daegu Island, it is considered one of the greatest places of tourism and leisure in Korea. Now here you can find what we're looking at are beautiful cosmos, and they say that here at Daegu Island, the cosmos that grow here, they have a more vivid color because of its surroundings. Apparently here on Daegu Island, the gap between the highs and lows is quite significant, so it really brings out the colors of the cosmos. Now, also, like I mentioned, it's great for tourism as a lot of foreigners come here and find it because this Daegu Island is one of the places that are used for variety shows. And right now we're actually looking at Suji from Miss A. Now, this year's Chuseok holiday, it consists of a total of 5 days, like Young and Minchin mentioned, and many families are going on vacation. So for those of you that are just too busy to go somewhere far away, then you should definitely come on by Daegu Sea Breeze theme park because it's the perfect place just to rest and have fun with your families. So that's all I have for now. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
Hi,
dropped off at the piano recital.
Right, I did not know that Dami could play the piano
Now
so
we
well.
know.
Now we know,
right? Well, we're now going to meet a man who is called the Leonardo da Vinci of robots. His name is Dennis Hong. He is the first to have developed the first humanoid in the U.S. called Charlie.
He is a world-renowned scientist in the field of robotics, and he's given 2 TED lectures on the future of robotics technology as well as how technology can help people. We'll get a look at what his thoughts are about the future of robotics.
He was selected as one of the 10 young geniuses shaking up science by U.S. science magazine Popular Science in 2009. Dennis Hong is the founder and director of Romella Robotics Lab at Virginia Tech, and he recently visited Korea.
Good morning, Korea Today. My name is Dennis Hong. I'm a professor at Virginia Tech, and today I'm here at Korea. These days I come to Korea too often. I come here almost once a month or sometimes twice a month. This time I come here for many different types of business.
At the Managing the Science and Technology Center in Gangnam, Seoul, September 6th, Hong was invited as a special guest speaker. Through the forum and other events, Hong was able to meet with young Koreans, dreaming to become a robotics expert one day. He spoke about the relationship between robotics and building a creative economy.
One of the key terms for the new government in Korea is creative economy. So using creativity, different ideas, and coming up with different jobs. So I think that's a concept. I do robotics, and robotics technology is actually very suited for this. Combining robotics with auto industry, you get autonomous cars. Combining robotics with airplanes, you get UAVs, unmanned aerial vehicles. In my personal view, robots are smart machines, but these are tools. So we developed this to help people. And what it needs to do depends on the need at the time.
With this belief, Hong developed the first car in the world for the blind. Using robotics, laser rangefinders, GPS, and smart feedback tools, this car allows a blind person to independently decide on the speed, distance with other cars, and roads to take. A blind driver took part in the test drive at the time, drawing much attention from the media and the automobile industry.
We developed a car that a blind person can drive. Not a car that a blind people ride a car, but it's a car where a blind person can actually make active decisions and drive. So this is a good example of how we use robotics technology and use it to help people in different areas. Now, of course, it's still premature technology. We still need to work a lot, but I truly believe that technology will be ready in the next 5 to 10 years. But the real problem is the society. Would society be ready to accept such a radical concept? How are you going to issue driver's license or even insurance? So those kind of problems are probably the most challenging besides the technological problems.
His motto is building robots for humans. Hong is currently working on a project involving emergency rescue robots that can be used instead of human workers in natural disasters and accidents. Hong has also taken on a robotics challenge sponsored by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, with Thor, a humanoid robot with artificial muscles.
One of the newest projects that we're working, and also possibly the most important project, is Project Thor, THOR, Tactical Hazardous Operations Robot. Thor is a humanoid robot, which means it has 2 legs, 2 arms, torso, and a head, just like a human being, but it's used for disaster relief. For example, last year in Japan, we had this very sad disaster from the earthquake, the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster. The problem is, if just in the first 24 hours, if somebody could have closed the valve, then we could have prevented the whole disaster. But because of the radiation, people cannot go. So this is a robot to do those kind of things. This is a robot for disaster relief. So this is a robot for truly saving people's lives, to save humanity. So it's very important.
Hong is a world-renowned engineer in the field of humanoid robots. Of those he developed, Darwin and Charlie have similar body structures as humans and have the intelligence to work with people. The roboticist also showed much interest in Korea's humanoid robots, which has been a hot field of research in both Korea and Japan.
In Korea, robotics is one of the key industrial strengths, and the government supports a lot, it looks like, from funding as well. But more importantly, when I talk to the kids, the young generation, the passion and interest for robotics is tremendous. We already reached the top. From now on, it's more important to come up with the next generation technology, and that's what we should do.
Dennis Hong believes robots will make the future a safer and a better place to live in. It's his dream to build a world where robots can save human beings. His passion and curiosity in building robots continues because it's what makes him the happiest.
You can say I'm actually very selfish because the reason why I do this, the reason why I develop technology that make people happy is because when I do that, I become happy. So I might be the most selfless person on earth as well. So for those who want to become future robot scientists, and for everybody else, I say, follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams.
Almost
right?
sounds like a TED lecture.
That's right. He says as a child he was full of curiosity and he would go around the house and break apart all these home appliances. But his parents, instead of scolding him, they encouraged him by buying him a box of tools. And his father, who was an aeronautical engineer, played with him a lot, making robots and rockets too. So parents.
So it's kind of a family affair. So his father was in science, so
right.
basically
apparently
it was
his mother is
the
only one who's not a scientist.
Huh, interesting.
Huh?
Yeah, obviously a very talented
it runs
human
in the
being.
family,
right,
I
that's right. And
suppose.
he's currently working on juggling 10 different projects, including building a robot with multiple legs and robots that can help people with chores like cooking, taking the garbage out. And he really stands strong by his belief that robots can help people, and they should be made to benefit the people in the society.
That's right. Just like the apparatus that helps the blind drive, you know, what his motive is not to make robots that can replace people and take their jobs, but assist people and help make people's lives easier.
That's right. Well, still ahead on Korea Today, there is a ton of vitamin supplements out on the market, but is more always better? We take a look at some basics to consider before buying vitamins and if there is a healthier way to take them to enhance the effects. Stay tuned for that story.
And a good Tuesday morning to you all as we kick things off in the major leagues as LA Dodgers pitcher Lee Hyun-jin is going after his 14th win of the season, this time against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, the hefty lefty, who's currently 13-6 with an ERA of 3.07, will be going up against Trevor Cahill, who has been struggling this season with a record of 6-10 and an ERA of 4.22. While the Dodgers have been enjoying a nice season so far, they have been struggling a lot lately, including the current 3-game losing streak. Now, with Lee Hyun-jin hoping to earn his 14th win of the season, he hopes to also end the losing streak as the Dodgers get closer to the playoffs. And moving on, the playoffs is approaching here in the KBO as well. And with all those rainouts during the long monsoon season we had, it's time to make up for all the lost games. And in fact, 2 games did take place last night as we begin with the Hanwha Eagles taking on the Kia Tigers. Of course, shifting over to the game, we begin in the first inning here. Naji Wan singles to left center field, bringing home Shin Jong-gil as the Kia Tigers take an early 1-0 lead. We're going to shift now to the second inning. Here's Kim Kyung-eun. Here an RBI single to right, and the ball game's now tied 1-1. But now in the third inning, here's Park In-na with an RBI double to right field, and Kia takes the lead back 2-1. But check this out, guys. Fourth inning here. Here comes the Hanwha Eagles. Han Sang-hoon starts with a 2-run triple to center field. This giving the Hanwha Eagles the 3-2 lead. Next batter, here's Lee Jun-soo. An RBI single to right field keeps the inning going. Gonna go over to the next play here. Lee Dae-soo drives this one to right, an RBI double, extending the lead to 5-2 Hanwha Eagles. But what do you know? We're not done yet. Here's Lee Young-gi, this time a 2-run single up the middle, makes it 7-2.
The Hanwha Eagles would score 7 runs in the inning here to take an 8-2 lead after 4 innings. Gonna shift over to the 7th. Kia trying to come back here with Hong Jae-ho with an RBI single, cutting the deficit before this next play. Lee Bum-ho sending this one to deep left center field. Here we go. Back. Gone. A 3-run shot makes it 8-6 Hanwha Eagles. But no matter, the rally is cut short as Hanwha takes this game 9-6. And next up, the Nexen Heroes taking on the NC Dinos. First inning, Na Sung-bum sends this to left field. A sac fly gives the NC Dinos the early 1-0 lead. But in the 3rd inning, here is Kim Min-sung with an RBI double as Park Byung-ho would come around to score, and the ball game's tied 1-1. Next inning, Nexen Heroes Lee Sung-yeol says hello and goodbye with a solo shot to deep left field, and the Nexen Heroes take a lead 2-1. 7th inning insurance run for the Nexen Heroes as Lee Tae-gun singles to right, helping the Nexen Heroes take this game 3-1. And with the win, Nexen's now tied with the Tusan Bears in 3rd place. And moving on to football, where the future of Korean football got a little brighter after finding out that 15-year-old Lee Seung-woo will be signing with Luis Suarez's agent Perry Guardiola. The young striker is currently playing for the under-15 Barcelona team and has long been regarded as the Korean Lionel Messi. And with the latest news, many speculate a huge transfer move coming soon to come. And now with that said, finishing things off with some good news for all you basketball fans here in the nation, as the KBL announced on Monday that they're going to extend their game time. While the league currently plays a 10-minute quarters, the latest announcement made by the league officials stated that beginning the 2014-2015 season, each quarter will be 12 minutes. While adding 2 minutes to each quarter seems very little, it'll actually make a huge difference in the end. And with all that said, it's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Beautiful scenes from the streets of Samcheong-dong. And now with the Chuseok holidays beginning tomorrow, many people are scrambling for those last-minute Chuseok gift ideas, and vitamins and nutritional supplements. They're popular gift items, right? But do you know enough about them?
I just know that looking at all these vitamins that are here, I feel healthy already.
I just say give me the best one, right? But for more information on vitamins and nutritional supplements, we're joined by Dr. Alice Hyun Kyung-dan from Samsung Medical Center.
Good morning. Hi. So for the most part, we get the vitamins and minerals we need through our diet. But the irony is that despite the abundance or overabundance of food in most modern societies, there are still people who are deficient in important nutrients. In these cases, it is important to supplement to make up for those deficiencies, but it's also important not to go overboard, not to overdose, because that can cause more harm than good.
Okay, now before we get to our discussion and debunk some myths out there, we're going to take a look at a short clip about how to take vitamins in a healthier manner. So take a look.
As the average life expectancy continues to slowly increase, there's a growing interest in how to stay healthy with the help of vitamin supplements. According to a survey from last year, the most popular health supplement was vitamins.
Because people are interested in their health, many more are keen on buying vitamin supplements.
Vitamins are essential in healthy growth and development, but because they are not naturally produced in the body, they need to be consumed from other sources. A deficiency of these vitamins can lead to night blindness, rickets, and anemia, so it's important to eat an adequate amount. In the case of vitamin C, a minimum of 100 milligram is required. This is equivalent to 25 apples.
People these days have irregular daily life patterns, and so they don't get to eat enough vitamins. That's why you need supplements.
These vitamin supplements are more effective when consumed properly. In the case of children who are picky eaters, it's good to provide them with vitamin A, B, C, and D supplements. For teenagers, vitamin A and D can help boost their immune system and maintain healthy eyesight. For women in their 20s and 30s, vitamin C, D, and E are good for overall health and a healthy appearance. For men with frequent business dinners and irregular eating patterns, vitamin C supplements will help.
Drinking or smoking can destroy vitamin C, so it's good to consume 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
What are some of the best ways to consume vitamin supplements? Some substances create a synergy effect when consumed together, such as vitamin E with omega-3 fatty acids. Vitamin E prevents the omega-3 fatty acids from easily oxidizing. Vitamin D helps the absorption of calcium in the stomach, so for those who take calcium supplements because of osteoporosis, an added vitamin D product will help. Other than this, vitamin C, E, and iron, vitamin C and selenium, and vitamin E and coenzyme Q10 are good combinations.
In the case of water-soluble vitamins, they leave the body if you consume too much, so it doesn't have that great of side effect. But in the case of fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K, it can cause nausea, thirst, and make you delusional if consumed excessively.
Patients with cardiovascular diseases need to be careful when taking vitamin K because excessive levels can cause blood clots in the heart. So before consuming vitamin supplements, it's essential to know what your needs are and take them accordingly.
She's just so interested in many different vitamins.
I'm going to take some home.
Are they for you or are they gift ideas? Well, we do have a plethora of different vitamins over here as well as on the market, right? But how do you know what you need? I mean, are there some vitamins that Koreans in particular are missing out on?
Yes, actually, research has shown that up to 60% of Koreans are deficient in vitamin D. And this is especially true for postmenopausal women. So if you are Korean, I do suggest that you get screened for vitamin D deficiency, and if you have it, you should get supplementation.
I see. Well, if you look at these vitamins, some say synthetic and some say natural vitamin supplements. I'm leaning towards natural supplements. Is there a difference?
Well, so the word vitamin actually comes from the phrase vital amine. In other words, they're chemical compounds that are essential for good health, but the body cannot make them on its own. And so you need to take them from outside. But whether they are synthetically manufactured or derived from, say, natural plant-based sources, they're essentially the same chemical compound. So probably not much difference in natural versus synthetic. That being said, if you try to take your vitamins from natural whole food sources, that's probably a really good idea. For example, if you eat one large orange, that's going to give you as much vitamin C as you need for the entire day. But then you have the added benefits of fiber, phytochemicals, other vitamins, and
it tastes so good.
Right, the oranges taste good, right? So we generally recommend that you try to get as much of your vitamins and minerals from whole food sources, natural whole food sources as you can.
All right, vitamin C, you were talking about vitamin C, and that seems to be the most popular vitamin. Sometimes I take up to 3,000 milligrams, especially when I have a cold. Is there a too much? I mean, I hear that it's water soluble. So
I'm not a doctor, but 3,000 seems a little overboard.
Sometimes I have a cold and I'll just keep popping those in.
Right, so water soluble vitamins, in general, if you take an excess amount, that excess amount will be excreted in your body through the urine or the feces. But if you take megadoses of vitamin C, so in excess of 1,000 milligrams per day, that can actually lead to medical problems such as nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, heartburn. Also, it can lead to kidney stones and headaches. So it's probably not a good idea to take megadoses of vitamin C.
So 3,000 milligrams would be considered a megadose.
Right.
Okay.
So 2,000 is actually the upper limit of what we would consider a recommended dose.
So how should people go about choosing which vitamins they need and how much to take in?
So I'm glad you phrased that question that way, because the important question is really, do you need this vitamin? And you should focus on the vitamins that you actually need. People who are in certain categories are more likely to need vitamin supplementations. And those categories include if you're over the age of 50 years old, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, if you're a woman who has very heavy menstrual flow, or if you have some sort of food restriction, such as you're vegetarian, or you have a lot of food allergies, or you have problems with absorption of food, or if you're a heavy smoker or a heavy drinker. Those people should probably take some sort of supplement. But in terms of which supplement and how much to take, what you actually need, you should consult your doctor for that.
All right, time to debunk some of those myths. I have a friend who religiously believes that taking vitamin C right after each meal would help her lose weight, and she is extremely skinny, so I'm wondering, does it help?
She needs to check in with a therapist.
Well, there actually was a study that was published in the Journal of the American College of Nutrition that showed that people who have adequate amounts of vitamin C are actually more effective in burning fat when they exercise compared to people who are deficient in vitamin C.
She doesn't exercise. It's a mystery to me.
If you find that your belly fat or abdominal fat is kind of resistant to exercise, really stubborn to get rid of, you might consider, if you're deficient in vitamin C, that you should supplement.
So it is effective to some extent, right?
Yes.
So apologies to your friend. I take that back.
Which one's the
But
vitamin
I said
C
she doesn't
here?
exercise, so I don't know.
So some people
Take this one home.
Right. Some people take a lot of different supplements at the same time. Is that recommended?
So actually, in terms of the combination of vitamins, there are certain vitamin combinations that are recommended, such as vitamin D and calcium, or iron and vitamin C. But for the average middle-aged person, probably just taking one multivitamin a day is all that's needed.
Okay, so what about for the purists, for the people that do not believe in the effects of vitamins? What would you say to them?
So we know for a fact that if you are deficient in certain vitamins, that will lead to certain diseases, and taking supplements will treat and prevent those diseases from occurring. So vitamins do play an important role in health. You should try to get, as I said, as much of your vitamins through natural sources as possible, and also consult with your doctor in terms of whether or not you need to take these vitamins at all. If you get enough vitamins through your diet, absolutely, you don't need to take supplements, but sometimes that's hard to do in the modern, busy life.
So again, consult with your doctor.
Yes. And you too are just religiously holding on to the
Well, this is for you,
there.
actually. So, well, thank you, doctor, for your time. And complete men, it says. Complete women. It's for you. It's not for me.
Okay, I am
you need to become a
incomplete as of
complete
now,
person.
I guess.
So get your vitamins and minerals.
That's right. To become a one wholesome person, I suppose. Well, that's our show for this Tuesday morning. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 7 a.m., the beginning of the Chuseok holiday season.
That's right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.